Good evening, UTLA family. I am gratified to be back with you in this virtual space. Tonight, we'll talk about safety and the return to schools, and we will be talking about how we fight forward for a vision that will transform our schools and take us beyond recovery. There is no sugarcoating the moment we are in. These are tough times. Everyone is being asked to do more at a time when some of us aren't sure there's any more gas left in the tank. School families are dealing with logistical hurdles and on-the-ground realities that change by the day. Educators are covering classes, giving up planning periods, and taking in students on a moment's notice after a teacher tests positive. Health and human service professionals are triaging the overwhelming student need for social, emotional, and mental health support. The fatigue and the fear are real. On the first day of school, the district reported 66,000 active coronavirus cases and a 7-day test positivity rate of 13%. 1 week later, the number of active cases had dropped to 41,000 with a 7-day test positivity rate of about 8.5%. According to the district dashboard. That drop in positivity rate is a welcome development, but we have learned that with this virus, we don't know what's around the corner. We must stay vigilant. Our educational communities must be protected and be as safe as possible. UTLA educators and families fought for the strongest safety protocols in the country. Even with these critical safety measures, there are challenges. Collectively, we continue our work to make schools as safe as possible and address critical return to school issues. Let's reiterate some of the safety measures that must be in place at every site. All students and staff should be tested weekly for COVID. We have called on the district to extend testing through February. Quarantine and isolation protocols should be followed consistently across the district. Masks are required for everyone on campus, indoors and out, with medical grade masks provided for staff. Classrooms and workspaces should be regularly cleaned and disinfected. New quarantining and isolation protocols are coming from LA County, which will mean updated protocols from LAUSD for our schools, including guidance on what happens if someone in your home tests positive. UTLA folks, look in your email for details on the updated protocols. Also, check out our FAQ at utla.net/spring FAQ. That FAQ is updated regularly as information emerges. If the safety measures aren't being followed at your site, reach out to your COVID safety task force. All school sites should have a COVID-19 compliance task force that meets at least twice a month to address identified deficiencies in a timely manner. And now, I want to talk about next steps. We must play defense as well as offense. It can be hard to look ahead when we are struggling to survive the day. But as I always told my students, those who fail to plan should usually plan to fail. The LAUSD budget for this school year has increased by more than $5 billion, with a projected unrestricted reserve of $2 billion by the end of the school year. With UTLA contract negotiations beginning with LAUSD later this spring, we have a historic opportunity to get the district to allocate the significant increases to the schools that our students deserve. Now, we unite behind the Beyond Recovery platform. For the past 5 months, the Beyond the Recovery platform has been shaped through hundreds of meetings with parents, students, and educators throughout the Los Angeles community. At its core, the platform recognizes that our schools and communities, which have been underfunded for decades and disproportionately impacted by the pandemic, need a comprehensive plan for pandemic recovery and beyond. The Beyond Recovery platform represents our broad goals for contract negotiations, essentials like lower class sizes, more in-class support for educators and students inside and outside the classrooms, more critical staffing, and better wages and working conditions. The platform is not specific bargaining proposals. Those will be later developed by these goals with the UTLA bargaining team. The Beyond Recovery platform is what we will unite around and take collective action to achieve as a union of 35,000 educators with parents and community rallying with us. So let me lay out the 7 key pillars. Number 1, we will fight for fully staffed schools through measures that attract and retain educators. The demands of the pandemic have deepened the crisis in our profession. A recent poll found that 48% of educators are considering leaving their jobs. We demand higher pay and better working conditions for all educators, from early ed to K-12 to adult ed. Number 2, we will fight for equitable access to opportunity for all students. This is a fact. The supports our students need to succeed are the supports you need to do your work. The platform includes urgent demands for lower class sizes, reduced caseloads, more support for special education, more learning time and less standardized tests, and critical investments in ethnic studies, culturally relevant curriculum, and vocational learning. Number 3, we will fight for equitable access to technology. The pandemic amplified the digital divide, leaving many of the students we serve struggling with unreliable internet services and unequal access to technology. LAUSD must meet this basic need in our connected society by providing updated tech to all students and staff and helping ensure that all students and families have reliable internet service. Number 4, we will fight for safe school climate. With all the trauma and challenges facing our students, LAUSD must build a safe school climate that does not criminalize our kids, but instead helps to meet their needs. That means investing in de-escalation techniques, trauma-informed teaching, programs for at-risk students, and creating a safe, clean, and welcoming school site. Number 5, we will fight for healthy, green public schools. The climate crisis is real, hitting us harder than ever with limited time to act. LAUSD owns and operates 6,400 acres of property. Proactive climate justice and mitigation practices like creating cooling centers at schools and planting trees on campuses can help communities fight increasing impacts of climate change. Number 6, we will fight for support for students, families, and our school communities. Every day, we see society's failure to support our communities. We work with students who are unhoused, living in cars, moving from motel to motel, and facing food insecurity. Our platform raises these as issues and says that our society must support our students for us to be successful as educators. And number 7, we will fight for equitable school funding. Our platform fights for equitable funding so that all students have the resources they need to succeed. I encourage you all to read the full platform at vision.utla.net and get ready to vote yes in February. In a first for our union, UTLA members will be voting on the platform before we go into negotiations with LAUSD. Voting to endorse this platform is the first message that you will send in the campaign of collective action that it will take to transform our schools. This is how we build power to win what our students need. This is our path to take our schools where they need to go, beyond recovery. I'll wrap up by giving a shout out to the fantastic UTLA members at Liberty Boulevard Elementary, Hawaiian Elementary, and Hope Elementary, who I met with this week. During this busy time, we had a chance to connect over Zoom and talk about site issues, COVID, and the Beyond Recovery platform. Honest and insightful conversations. And a special shout out to the crew of new educators at Hawaiian Elementary. Angelica Estrada, Erica Garcia, Arthur Toval, and Fernanda Sandoval. They are just out of the gate and already having a major impact with their students. To everyone, take this time to rest and relax this weekend. Schooling during a pandemic is not what any of us signed up for, but you keep showing up day after day. You all are working so hard to create spaces of connection and learning for our students in these dark times. You all are amazing, brilliant, and resilient. Stay UTLA strong. because together we rise.